$47,200. That's your base salary, not your dream salary, not your upper limit, your salary. You've had it for 3 years. Give or take the 3.1% they gave you last April, which landed as $122 extra a month after tax. You remember the meeting. Your manager called it a solid performance year. You nodded. You said thank you. You drove home on the same road you always drive home on, and you didn't think about it again until the next morning when your alarm went off at the same time it always goes off, without fail. You are 28 years old. You have been at this company for 3 long years. You are good at your job. You know you're good at your job. And somewhere underneath the routine, underneath the parking spot you've claimed as yours, and the coffee order everyone knows by heart, there is a number you have never looked at directly. The number is what this job is actually costing you. Not what it pays you, what it costs you. You don't know that yet. You will eventually. You started here at 25. Fresh offer letter. Starting salary $42,000. You negotiated once, got $500 more, felt proud of yourself for a week or so. The benefits were good. The commute was manageable. Your manager seemed reasonable. You told yourself you'd stay 2 years, maybe 3, see what happened next. 3 years became 4. 4 became 7. The parking spot became yours. The coffee order got memorized. And somewhere in year 4, something subtle happened that you didn't notice at the time. You stopped being a person who chose this job. You became a person who simply had this job by default. There's a difference. You don't feel it until later. What feels temporary in the beginning often becomes invisible routine before you notice the shift has already happened. The first rule: your salary is anchored to the number you accepted on day 1. Every raise is a small percentage of that number. Not a percentage of your market value, not a percentage of what you're actually worth, a percentage of what you agreed to in a conference room when you were 25 and just happy to have an offer. When you stay with one employer for years, your salary is permanently anchored to what you earned when you first walked in the door. Every raise is just a percentage of your last paycheck, which can cause your earnings to fall further and further behind the market over time. You don't see this happening. It happens slowly, like gradual rust forming on metal. You're 32 now. Net worth, $18,000. Savings account, 401k combined. You feel okay about that number. You shouldn't. Fidelity recommends saving at least 1 times your salary by age 30. By your early 30s, the average savings balance is around $141,520, though the median is closer to $45,000. You're below the median, but you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about the project you just finished. You're thinking about the promotion that might come next cycle. It doesn't come. Someone else gets it. Someone who has been here about 2 fewer years than you. You find out at a team lunch. You smile and congratulate him anyway. You drive home on the same road. You don't quit. You tell yourself it'll be different next cycle. At this point, hope starts becoming a pattern rather than a plan. The shift. You stop measuring your progress by how good you are at your job and start measuring it by how long you've been at your desk. Those are not the same thing. They were never the same thing. You're 35 years old. Your salary is $54,000 annually. You've gotten raises every year, small ones. The average yearly raise for staying at your current job tends to be only about 2 to 3%, barely enough to offset the effects of inflation in a typical year. You do the math once on a Sunday afternoon, a thing you'll never do again because the math is surprisingly unpleasant. If you had left at year 3 and taken the job offer you turned down, the one that came with a salary of $62,000 and a title bump, and if you had moved again 2 years after that, which is what most people who move do, your salary right now would be somewhere around $78,000 to $85,000 annually. Not hypothetically, statistically. Wage growth for job switchers is 47% higher than for those who remain in their current jobs. Job switchers average about 5.8% wage growth, while those staying put see only 3.1%. The gap isn't dramatic in any single year. It's $3,000 here, $4,000 there. But it compounds. It compounds exactly like interest compounds, except in reverse. It moves against you, quietly, every single year. Net worth at 35, approximately $41,000. You feel like you're building something. You are building something, just slower than you think. The second rule: loyalty is an emotion. The labor market is a math problem. Companies budget annual raises at 3 to 5%. Companies typically budget 3 to 5% for annual raises, but can offer 15 to 25% increases for new hires to attract top talent. They do not budget differently because you've been there longer. They do not budget differently because you've been reliable and good and never caused a problem. The budget is the budget. Your tenure is irrelevant to the spreadsheet. This is not cynicism. It is just how the numbers work. Once you understand that, you stop viewing compensation as a reward for loyalty and start seeing it as a market decision. You're 38 years old. Something shifts at the company. A major restructure. A new VP comes in from outside. She doesn't know your history. She doesn't know what you built in year 2 or the client you saved in year 5. She knows the org chart she recently inherited. You are a line item. You feel it before anyone says anything. You feel it in the way the new VP talks in all hands meetings, the way she says things like fresh perspectives and new energy. You've heard this language before. It usually means someone like you is about to be asked to mentor someone younger, cheaper, and less deeply anchored. You are not fired. You are repositioned. Same title, same desk, slightly different responsibilities, slightly less central. You accept it. You've been here 13 years. Leaving now feels like losing something. You're not sure what. You're not sure that's rational. It isn't. The shift. You stop thinking about what you could gain by leaving and start thinking about what you'd lose by leaving. That inversion is the trap. That's the exact moment the job owns you more than you own the job itself. The change happens gradually enough that it feels reasonable, even while it quietly limits your options. You're 42 years old, net worth $89,000, retirement account, some savings, a small amount in an index fund you started 4 years ago after a coworker mentioned it at a happy hour. You should have more by now. Americans in their 40s have an average retirement savings balance of $593,109, though the median is $220,919. You are well below the median. You know this now because you finally looked. The number bothered you for about a week. Then you stopped looking. Your salary is $67,000 annually. You've been here 17 years. You know everyone. You know the unwritten rules. You know which client is difficult and which vendor always runs late and which internal process is broken and why it's broken and why nobody will fix it. That knowledge has value, real value. But it is not converting into income at the rate it should be for someone your experience. According to Forbes, individuals who remain with a single company for over 2 years are likely to earn about 50% less over their lifetime compared to their job-hopping counterparts. 50%. Not a small discrepancy, not a rounding error, half. The number feels impossible until you run the math yourself, and then it feels almost inevitable. The third rule: institutional knowledge is an asset that your employer benefits from and you do not get paid for. You know how everything works. That's why you're hard to replace. That's also why you're not getting paid what someone with your skills would get paid if they walked in from outside the organization today. You are subsidizing the organization with your expertise. Every year you stay, the subsidy grows. You're 45 years old. The market is good. A recruiter emails you. You haven't updated your LinkedIn in 4 years. The recruiter says they have a role at $95,000 per year, fully remote, with better benefits. You read the email twice. You feel something you haven't felt in years. Possibility. You close the email. You tell yourself the timing is bad. Your daughter is about to start high school. The pension vesting is coming up in 3 years. The commute is familiar. The parking spot is yours. You don't respond to the recruiter. You will think about this email for 6 months without replying. The median number of years that wage and salary workers had been with their current employer was 3.9 years in January 2024, the lowest since January 2002. The average person is moving every 4 years. You are at year 20. You are a statistical outlier. You have told yourself this means stability. It means something else too. It means your market value is increasingly theoretical. You haven't tested it. You don't know what you're actually worth anymore. The recruiter knew. You didn't call back. And sometimes the hardest part isn't finding a better opportunity. It's believing you're still allowed to pursue one. The fourth rule: the longer you stay, the more leaving feels like a risk, even when staying is the larger risk. The unfamiliar feels dangerous. The familiar feels safe. But safe and financially sound are not the same thing. They have never been the same thing at all. Net worth at age 48, $162,000 total. Retirement account mostly, some savings. The house is appreciating, but you don't count the house because you live in it every day. You are 11 years from what you've decided is retirement age. You need significantly more than $162,000 to retire at 59 comfortably. You know this. You invest more aggressively now. You start maxing out the 401k. It feels like trying to sprint the last mile of a marathon you've been walking for most of the race. You're 51 years old. The company is acquired. Different logo, same building, new HR system, new performance review structure. You survive the acquisition. A lot of people don't. You watch people with 15, 20 years of service walk out with boxes on a Thursday afternoon. You feel guilty for surviving. You feel grateful. You feel something else underneath both of those things, something you don't name out loud to anyone. You realize for the first time that the company was never loyal to you. It was never capable of loyalty. It is a legal entity. Legal entities don't feel loyalty. Only you did. Only you were paying the price for it over the year. Some lessons take decades to learn because they are hidden inside routines that seem perfectly normal. The shift. You stop calling it loyalty and start calling it what it actually is. Inertia. Dressed up as commitment. Inertia with a parking spot. You're 54 years old. Net worth, $241,000. You've had good years in the market. You've contributed more. You're not where you should be yet. For those aged 55 to 64, the guideline is saving roughly 8 times your salary. For someone making $80,000 annually, that's $640,000 in savings. The median savings for this age group is only about $185,000, roughly 29% of the goal. You are above the median, barely. You are nowhere near the target. The gap between those two numbers is not a gap you can close on your current salary trajectory. You know this. You don't say it out loud. Your spouse knows too. You don't talk about it directly. You talk around it instead. The numbers have become harder to ignore, but that doesn't automatically make them easier to discuss. Your salary is $79,000 per year. You've been here 29 years. You have one of the highest salaries on your team. You have one of the lowest salaries relative to what your role pays in the open market. Both of those things are true simultaneously. You are the most expensive person in the room and the most underpaid person in the industry for your experience level. That paradox is the whole story in a single sentence. The fifth rule: the ceiling inside a company and the ceiling outside a company are two fundamentally different structures. Inside, you hit the ceiling they built for you when you were just 25. Outside, the ceiling is your market value, which has been rising without you quietly every single year you stayed. You're 55 years old. You get the retirement party invitation. Not yours, your manager's. 22 years of service, cake in the break room, a card everyone signs. He gives a speech about the people, not the work. He tears up a little. You watch and you think about what he's actually walking away with. Workers ages 55 to 64 had accumulated only about 19% of their targeted retirement savings in 401k or similar plans, according to the National Institute on Retirement Security. Most people at that retirement party are not financially ready to leave. They are emotionally ready. Those are different things. Your manager is one of the lucky ones. He has a pension. Most companies stopped offering pensions before you started working there. Very few private employers offer pensions nowadays, and most have shifted to defined contribution plans, such as 401k accounts. Your retirement is a 401k and a Social Security estimate you checked once on a government website and then closed immediately because the number was lower than you expected. For many people, retirement arrives as a date on the calendar, long before it arrives as a financial reality. You're 58 years old. Net worth, $318,000 total. Retirement account, some brokerage, the house. You are 3 years from the retirement age you decided on at age 45. The math doesn't work at 59. Maybe at 62. Maybe at 65. You move the goalpost. The goalpost has been moving for a decade already. This is not a failure of discipline. This is the compounding result of a salary that grew at roughly 3%, while your market value grew at something closer to about 6%. Over 30 years, that difference is not a gap. It is a financial canyon. The shift. You stop thinking about what you should have done and start thinking about what is still possible. This is not optimism. This is arithmetic. There is still time to move the number. Not as much time as there was, but still, time. You are 55 years old and you are still going in. Every morning. Same road, same building. You have outlasted 4 CEOs, 2 acquisitions, 3 rounds of layoffs, 1 pandemic, and a complete redesign of the company's internal software system that you had to relearn at age 52. You are not weak for staying. You are not wrong for staying. You made a deeply human decision to value security over risk, familiarity over the unknown, the known ceiling over the uncertain sky. Millions of people make the same decision every year. The median tenure with the same employer is just 3.9 years. You are not the median. You never were. But the median is not a virtue. It is just a data point. And data points don't have mortgages. Data points don't have kids in college. Data points don't feel guilty about leaving a team that depends on them. The numbers can explain behavior, but they cannot fully explain the reasons people make difficult choices. The 6th rule. The financial cost of staying is real and measurable. The emotional cost of leaving is also real and also measurable. Neither one cancels the other out. The decision is not which one is 0. The decision is which one you can live with. You're 59 years old. Net worth, $387,000 total. You had a good run in the market the last 4 years. You contributed the maximum. You used catch-up contributions after 50. You are closer than you were. Still not where the benchmarks say you should be by this stage. You retire at 62, not because you plan to, because the company is restructuring again. The new VP, the 4th one since the acquisition, offers you a package. You take it. You leave on a Friday. No party, no cake. Just an email from HR and a badge that stops working at 5 p.m. You sit in your car in the parking spot that was yours for 30 years. You sit there for 11 minutes. You are not sad exactly. You are something more complicated than sad. You are holding 30 years in your hands and trying to figure out what they weigh emotionally. The work was real. The relationships were real. The expertise was real. The financial cost was also real. All of it is true at once, without contradiction. Some chapters end with celebration. Others end quietly, leaving you to make sense of them afterward. Net worth at age 62, $412,000. You will be okay. Not comfortable the way you imagined comfortable when you were 28. A different version of okay. A quieter version. You will manage the number carefully. You will not run out, probably. The math is close enough to be manageable, not comfortable enough to be careless with spending. The share of seniors living in poverty climbed to 15% in 2024, the highest rate among all age groups, according to census data. You will not be in that number. You are grateful for that. You are also aware that gratitude and optimization are not the same thing at all. Somewhere in this city right now, there is a 25-year-old professional sitting across a desk from an HR manager. She is holding an offer letter. It says $42,000 per year. She is deciding whether to negotiate. She is deciding whether this company feels right. She is deciding whether to stay 2 years or 20. She doesn't know yet that the decision she makes in the next 5 minutes will compound for 3 decades. She doesn't know that her salary on day 1 is the anchor everything else gets measured against. She doesn't know that the parking spot will feel like hers before she realizes she gave something away to get it in return. And like most life-changing decisions, it won't feel life-changing when she makes it. She accepts the offer. She says thank you. She drives home on a road she doesn't know yet. The road will become familiar. everything becomes familiar. That is the thing about staying. It stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like the air. Just a low, constant hum of a number that never moved as fast as it should have. The anchor holds. It always holds. It always will.